Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. This is Carmen with Design Elemental here. And today I wanted to do a kind of like a speed through version of my live stream from this past Saturday, where I made a traveler's journal or traveler's notebook, however you want to call it. I'm using a pair of pants that were no longer of service. So here you kind of see me. I already had pre-measured and got my board ready, and I'm just using regular cardboard for that. Um, and these are the pair of pants that I'm going to be using. And they have a really bright and kind of loud kind of print. Um, and so if you want to get all of the other information that I share on that video, then please feel free, to go to that video and watch that in its entirety, and you'll get a lot of other useful information as far as, just the glues and just different things and how I go about it. On this one, I'm pretty much just going to roughly go through what I did with you guys. And pretty much what you see me doing here right now is removing a pocket that I needed, because I already had one pocket and I needed another one so that I can put one on each side. And this pretty much, the way that I create my traveler's notebook, especially with fabric, I like to use the craft foams, and these are the ones that have the sticky back on them. And I pretty much just like to add one to the front cover on each side, and also a piece of that to the spine, just for protection, in case you put it on some water or wet surface or anything like that, so that even if your cloth gets wet, but your cardboard itself inside doesn't warp because it doesn't penetrate, because it makes it kind of waterproof in a way, in my eyes. And here I'm using my embellishment glue. This kind of traveler's notebook requires no heat gun. It requires no glue gun. It requires no stitching. It requires nothing but this embellishment glue, and this is the glue that I'm showing you here. And this glue can be found at Dollar Tree. I'm pretty sure that most of your sticky or tacky glues will work just fine. Um, but this is just my glue of choice. You can use any other kind of glue that you would like. This glue for me just dries really, really quickly, and you guys have heard me boast about this glue in the past. If you want to hear me boast even more about it, then definitely check out the live stream, where I go into a little bit more detail as far as why the glue is the way that it is. Um, and so I use this glue to pretty much adhere everything on here. So even though it is a sticky bag, I do go ahead and just apply some glue to each of the covers, just to make sure that that foam stays there and it doesn't go anywhere. I'm also going to attach a piece of the foam just to the spine. And you definitely want to make sure that you do this in the 3 pieces. You don't want to just add one long sheet and wrap it, because it's going to buckle. And that's going to probably cause you problems later on when it comes to opening and closing, your journal. So I just, make it a rule to just add one piece, by itself to the spine, and one piece for each cover. So I'm just going to run that through and just get the inch. It's about a ½ an inch that I need. Each of the book itself, the craft foams, are 6 by 9 inches. So overall, the whole piece of cardboard is about 12 inches, 12 and 5/8, 12 and an eighth, I would say, give or take. And then each of the foam pieces is about 6 by 9. So that's pretty much what the dimensions of this is. Now I don't add it to the inside. I just add it to the outside. So here I'm just pretty much getting the fabric together, and I've opened them up. I did a lot of this before I went on live, just to save some time. Um, I did leave most of it just so that you guys can see that it really was a pair of pants that I used, right? But there's many things that you can do from old clothing. There's many things that you can, upscale it, upcycle it, if you will. You can make purses. You can make all different kinds of things. I just thought that this would be a really fun print to create a book with, um, especially because it was so loud. So pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the back of it going. I'm going to trim off any of the excess fabric that I feel like it's just going to be too much, that I really won't need. So you'll see me trim this down somewhat. And again, adding my glue to each of the covers, and then adding my fabric, so that I make sure that everything is on there well. And the outside of it is not as important as the inside of it, so making sure that your edges on both of your covers are, you know, really nice and tacked down is more important than if you stick, you know, the outside fabric to the cover itself. Um, this is what's going to hold your book in place. This is what's going to give the longevity to your book, and how well you glue this down and or, you know, adhere it down. Depends on how long your book is going to last, pretty much. Um, so again, here I'm just trimming off the excess, and this is a very simple kind of way of doing it. I know I got a lot of feedback during my live that people were shocked that it, you know, it was so easy to do, and I did it so quickly. I've only done in fabric. I've only done, this would be my third one. I've done others in just regular, you know, cardstock and just regular paper and decoupaging and things like that. But in fabric, this was my very first. Well, this is my third one. And I actually shied away from doing this in the past because I didn't have a sewing machine. So I'm like, how am I gonna get these covers on? You know, so on and so forth. Um, but the glue that I use works so well, that I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try it with this glue. And I gifted two of the ones that I made, and they just held up so well. I'm like, you know what, let me share this, you know, with my subscribers. Let me share this with my friends and family here on YouTube. So pretty much this is what you see me doing, is just adhering the corners and just you know, leaving the corners for last so that you can kind of round them off, you know, as you're adhering it down. As you saw, I didn't round off the corners on the journal itself. On the cover itself, I left them, you know, square. Um, but adding the fabric in this fashion actually rounds off the corners for you, so you don't have to worry so much about that. You know, if you want to do it, you do it. You know, but it's not really necessary. It'll end up looking somewhat rounded once it's all done. Um, so pretty much just try to leave maybe about an inch or half an inch or 3/4 of an inch of fabric so that you can kind of manipulate that and maneuver that so that it wraps around excuse me, your cover. Leave your corners for last, and then just kind of fan the corners out a little bit and then tack them down. And that's kind of how I do it. I put glue before, after, and in the center. I fan it out and then I tack it down, and that's kind of how I do that. And if you feel like you need to remove some of that, then go right ahead and do so. None of this is going to really show once you're all said and done with it. So the outside cover is already done. I mean, it's like I said, it's very simple. It might take you some practice if, you know, if you're really not that comfortable doing it. You might have to practice a little bit, but I think you'll get it in no time, and you'll be doing these like in a heartbeat. Um, If you want to see the other two that I created, then by all means go check out Mom to Create. Just one word, Mom, M-O-M, the number 2, Create. One word. Search for her on YouTube, and you'll see Happy Mail that she just received. This is one of her recent videos. Today is November the 13th of 2017. So just in case you're watching this at a later date, it will be, you know, in November of 2017, Happy Mail that she received. And you'll see the other two versions that I created for her. One was they're both coffee themed, but two different kinds of fabrics and two different styles altogether. So here, pretty much, I'm adding glue now to my book. As you saw, I kind of I put the printed side facing outward so that I can kind of fold it over the top. That way, all my edge is tucked in as opposed to sticking out. And that's pretty much how I do these. I go ahead and I just you know, I fold it over, and you can actually do this beforehand. You can fold them over onto themselves and then go on it, but I like to do it on the book itself because you never know if you have enough fabric. It's happened to me before where I made it too small, so I ended up having to detach everything or rethink the whole process. um, so here again, just folding them in, folding those edges inward, adding the glue, and just making sure that those edges are, you know, lined up right with the edge of the book itself, so it looks a little bit more natural. And then just tucking them all in, leaving the corners for last. Okay, not gluing down the corners. Um, I tuck in the corners at the very end. It just makes it a lot simpler to get the books done than worrying about folding the corners over and tucking the corners in right from when you start gluing down your inside cover. So I leave the corners for last. And then once I have everything glued on, then that's the only thing I have to do left is just to tuck in the corners and seal them shut. And again, feel free to remove, any little excess that you have popping out of the corners. If you have too much fabric on the corners, then feel free to remove some of that, just so that you have a more, relaxed kind of look and feel. And sorry about the sign language, you guys. As you know, I'm doing this live, so my hands tend to go all over the place when I talk. So again, folded it inward, added my glue. Just make sure that you go around it and make sure that you have enough glue everywhere, and that you've added everything nicely. You've pressed everything down, and here I'm just gathering a skewer and again folding that tip inward, and filling in that area with glue, and just making sure that I press it down and I smooth that out so that everything is nice. And I do this for all of them. One of the corners they give me a little bit of a problem because I guess when I put down the fabric, I didn't trim off enough, um, to tack it down, properly. Like I tacked it down properly, but I had too much bulk in one of the corners. So when I went to go put this little corner of fabric, it was like a little bit cumbersome. So just make sure that you trim off enough. You don't over trim, but you trim off enough, enough from the corners, so that you have a nice smooth seal at the end. And I think this is the corner that kind of gives me a little bit of a problem here. But I do end up getting it worked out. It's just about manipulation and patience. So I do actually eventually get this all done and worked out. Now, for those of you that have been kind of watching this whole process, I am planning to do a giveaway for this. For this little album that you see me doing here, I kind of announced it as well on my Instagram. If you don't follow me, it's Design Elemental. And pretty much towards the end of this video, I'm going to ask you a question. And all you have to do is pretty much answer the question down below, to be entered into the drawing. I'm not sure how many weeks I'm going to run it, but I think I'm going to run it for a little bit of time. And then I'll come back and do the winner announcement, if you will. And I do plan on doing another one of these in a different style moving forward. So if I do that, or when I do that, I might also be giving that one away. I'm not sure just yet. It all depends on how much I love it. If I love it too much to part with, then oh no. But this one I liked a lot. But I created this with the intention knowing that I was going to give it away. So it's a different situation altogether. I keep making them and I don't own any of them because I keep giving them all away, which is fine. At the end of the day, you guys are a big reason why I'm here. I mean, I'm here because I'm here, but definitely you guys motivate me to keep going, and definitely to try new things. So for those of you that follow me, always, that I'm all over the place. For those of you that are new to my channel, you shall soon find out that I am one person that is everywhere. I do all different kinds of things. I am all over the spectrum. So there's always an interesting, different kind of project going on my channel here. And also, if you guys want, there's anything that you guys want to see, then definitely put it down below. So here I've attached the pockets, and I didn't want the pockets to blend in too much. So I'm like, you know what, I need to make it so that you can actually see where this pocket is. And so I added that little rose trim just to the top of the pocket. And I'm also going to add a rosette in black to the center of each pocket, and a cabochon to kind of give it that final touch. And it all matched really nicely because I kept the colors pretty much the same with the black, and then the same kind of green that's already on this pattern. And then I went ahead and used some of that really big, I guess it's lace. I'm not really, it's like an applique, if you will, but it's also like a lace, so it's, I don't know. But yes, that fabric that you see me kind of playing with there is the fabric that I end up kind of using along the front. Overall, I must say I really did like the way that this came out. As at this point in time, I've already done a few more things to it. So by the time that whoever receives it or whoever wins it gets it, they're gonna get something that's Not necessarily different, but definitely with some more things added to it, some more details added to it. Um, this is just kind of like a starter kit, if you will. This is like a how it started, but it's never really how it ends. At least not for me. I always end up touching it and doing things again. Here I'm just kind of showing you that you can add so many things to these pockets, and especially because the fabric itself is kind of stretchy. It allows you to really bulk those pockets in and just add a whole bunch of stuff to those pockets. So you can fill them up with like 1,000 pens if you wanted to. Add your wallet, whatever you wanted to do, you can go ahead and do. Um, this one in particular didn't have a closure when I made it, but I will be adding either some type of a closure or it'll have some kind of a belly band or something that'll hold it closed for once you start putting your stuff inside. Here you kind of see me trying to figure out which direction I want to lay this in, because this is really intricate. And so I'm like, you know what, it's giving me a headache. Let me figure out something else to do for now. And so I went ahead and just added some trim. And I think that this is from Michael's. I got this from my friend Janet. She sent me some stuff when I did my spectacular hop, and this is just like a spool of all different kinds of these little trims, and they have double-sided tape on the back. So I just wanted to see what it looked like first. And now you actually see me applying it with some glue, just making sure that it stays there forever, right? And I went ahead and just kind of added this all the way around. Um, well, maybe not all the way around. I think I added it in the top and in the bottom, and then I'll add something else, a different kind of trim on the other side. But the cover itself is going to have that really big black one there. I just thought it looked really cute and intricate, and it covered up a lot of, all of this loudness, right? I call them loud and proud. These are loud and proud pants. Um, yes. So what am I doing here? Okay, so I unclipped it because I wasn't sure which direction, and I wanted the trim itself to face in a certain direction. I wanted like all the loops to kind of face in a certain direction. So I opened it up just to make sure that it was in the direction that I wanted. And I tucked it in a little bit on each end, and then overall, because it was all the same fabric and this glue dries perfectly clear, I didn't worry about it too much, and I just left it as it was. You can't really tell, which is fine. So here, this is me kind of figuring out, okay, so I'm going to do this way, and now I'm just getting the measurements ready. And I want both ends to end at the same, kind of like at the same point, so I'm just going to fold the pieces onto themselves. I'm going to fold it onto itself. And then I'm just going to try to trim it as close to what that, how it ends as possible, so that I have about the same amount of fabric on both ends. That way when I glue everything over, it kind of looks very similar to each other. And how I end up actually doing this is that those little things at the ends, I actually fold those inward. So you'll have a little bit of that applique on the inside, and then you'll have a little bit of that, well, a lot of the applique on the outside. Now I did try to fiddle with a different glue, and that's the Elmer's tacky glue. And I used, it's got a bigger gauge of a nozzle on that, even though it is a fine tip, it's got a bigger nozzle. But this glue is so thick, you guys, like OMG, I couldn't get it out the bottle for nothing. So I struggled with that. I struggled with that a lot. And here I thought that I was going to get more glue out of it than the one I was using. So I'm like, let me use this one. But no, I had to squeeze the life out of it, and it's just so thick. Um, but it did a good job gluing overall. So I won't take that away from it. It was just really hard to get it out the bottom because it's just so thick. I just end up going right back to mine. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just go with mine. Mine's is a lot easier to deal with. Even though it's thick glue as well, it flows out a lot easier from the bottom. So here you see me just kind of placing it. Okay, this is where I want it. So I go ahead and loop those little pieces over. So you'll get a little bit of that on the inside, which I thought was really cute. And everything is just going to pretty much just get folded over. And I'm not going to cover it. I'm going to leave it just as it is because I just think it adds to the book itself. So I left all of those little bits and pieces kind of like exposed, and just wrapped it around the edge. And again, it's just more support, if you will, because now I have something that's kind of wrapped around both and kind of holding that book together. Even though that book wouldn't, it won't fall apart. The glue that I use is extremely good, and it doesn't. Once it's on, it's on. There's no undoing it. And it's designed for like embellishments and fabrics and things like that. So it's actually made for that. Here I'm just showing you my fairy jar, which I should be giving away soon. I'm just waiting on some stuff, but this video is not about that. So for the most part, just finishing adding up the app, finish gluing down the appliques and just kind of putting those on there, adding glue here and there wherever I need to, and just, kind of making sure that everything is nice and tacked down. And you'll see me kind of add dots here and there to just pretty much all over the appliques themselves, just to kind of get them nice and secured. And I really think that this kind of did, it made the book for me. Once I added this piece to it, like, it brought everything together. Because I was still able to see the fabric underneath, but this just took so much of that loudness right off. The rest of the book is still loud and proud, but at least the cover has a little bit of decency. So for the most part, everything is pretty much good to go. Now I'm just going to find some kind of charm or something to add to it. Here I'm just looking through some of my other fabrics. I'm still trying to see what I'm going to do, but I opt not to use any of those. I actually end up using this little trim right here. And I'll just use a little bit of that right along that top edge that is empty, just so that it doesn't have, it doesn't stay with nothing. And then I had two little flowers remaining from what I used on the inside pockets, so I go ahead and just adhere that to each of the corners. Again, just to make sure that everything is nice and secure. I'm probably complaining or something. I see my hands shaking back and forth. Um, we have a lot of fun when we do, when I go live. I have a lot of fun with everybody that comes on there. Um, they're always full of suggestions and ideas, and I just love listening to everything that everybody has to say. And 9 times out of 10, I actually, go ahead and, execute most of their ideas or incorporate their ideas. I really do like to feel like, it's not so much a my project, but it's like an our project. Because if you guys are watching me there live, um, you know, then it's like we're making it together, Um, so yes, we have a lot of fun. So that's why you guys see my hands kind of going crazy here and there. And if you hear it, you'll probably hear me cracking up or laughing very loudly for a lot of that, a lot of the video. Um, so if you haven't checked me out, I usually go live on Saturdays. And I usually put a notification uh, either on my Instagram or on my channel itself. Um, I try to do it early, but sometimes I do run late to kind of notify you guys. But usually it's Saturdays at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And like I said, I do all different kinds of projects on there, from mixed media to, altering stuff. Usually Saturdays I just alter. So this is why I did this book here, because this is like altering a pair of pants and turning them into something else. Um, so it's usually some kind of an altered project. I'm building something usually when I do my live streams on Saturday, or I'm doing a mixed media canvas that is like, reusing other things, or, upcycling something else to turn it into a canvas, or whatever the case may be. But it's always some kind of, upcycled something or the other. And definitely an altered project in one way or another. But if you guys have suggestions for what you would like to see me do on my live streams, I'm open to that as well. There are really no like set rules as far as how I do what I do. It just so happened that I just ended up doing a lot of altered projects on Saturday. And I call it Let's Create, because again, I welcome your feedback. I welcome your participation. I think that you guys are full of awesome ideas. And every now and then I grow blank, I won't lie. So I never really come on there with any kind of plan. Um, and I do try my best to execute whatever it is that I end up starting to do. But usually my things kind of come together last minute, and then, they just take off from there. Um, so let's see here. I'm just adding some iridescent little flat back little thingamajigs. That's another thing that you guys will notice on my channel. I never name things really by what they are, because 9 times out of 10 I don't know what it's called. So I'll just make the name up, or just show you, like, look, I'm talking about this. Do you guys know what it is? And usually I learn a lot also by the stuff that you guys know. So you guys are good with the vocabulary. Let me tell you, to me, a rose is a flower, so all flowers are flowers. It doesn't matter what it is, what color, when it blooms, when it doesn't. A flower is a flower. So just like Cheerios all cereal is Cheerios to me. So I'll just be like, give me the Cheerios in the yellow box or give me the Cheerios in the blue box. Neither one of them are Cheerios, by the way. But yeah, that's just how I am. But anywho, we're almost done with this. Literally, the book itself is completed. All we have left to do now is just add the little stretchy string, which you're going to see me do. And I don't recommend that you do what I did, but I actually took the little scissor that I had and I opened up the little eyelet on the needle itself, because I couldn't get the thing to pass through. It passed through. It passes through now, so that'll be my little needle for that. But they actually do sell those kinds of needles and stuff like that that you use for book binding and so on and so forth. Um, I just use what I have, and that's usually how I operate. I use what I have. And here I'm just kind of looking for paper to use as the insert. I originally pulled these out, but I didn't. I wasn't really feeling it from the get go, so I kind of went back in, and instead, what I ended up doing is pulling out another paper pad, which is like it has like a resist on it. So if I wanted to go into it with maybe some ink or something or some paint or something, then I could go ahead and do so in order to reveal what the pattern is. And this is a paper pad by Recollections, and I end up using two of those. But I'm kind of contemplating leaving them as is because I think that they look pretty on their own. And whoever receives it, if they want to go ahead and play with some inks, then feel free to do so and make it your own. Um, I never have a problem when people kind of, either alter or do something or change something to anything that I give them. Because I believe that once it's yours, and you can do with it what you wish. And a lot of the times I do leave things not necessarily incomplete, but I don't fill everything in on purpose, so that you have the option to adjust things here and adjust things there and kind of make it your own. So I do that a lot. A lot of people have gotten like albums that I didn't finish. I didn't finish them on purpose. I start them and then I let you fill them in, so that it really becomes like your own. Like I do the hard work and then I give you the easy stuff. Um, but yes, so this is really really fun. I really do like making these. I'm just not a person that does a lot of journaling. I can say like I do it, but since I normally don't plan, like I'll start and then eventually I end up getting discouraged or I get sidetracked and I just kind of halfway start and then don't finish. I know like I received a happy planner, I think that's what they're called, from another YouTuber here, Donna, and I used it for, I want to say that I used it for at least 5 months, 6 months, but I haven't used it, I'm going to say, roughly in the past 3 months. Um, but I think a lot of that also has to do with the fact that I started getting to all these different kinds of live streams, this and that. And it just, that planning aspect of it just kind of went right out the window. But I am actually gonna alter that book. I'm gonna reuse it. So stay tuned for that because I will end up taking that same book and just switching everything up in it. And continuing the planner legacy that it already has, but for the new year. So that'll be fun. I have a lot of different papers here that I can go ahead and just kind of go back into it. And I hope to be able to get better at planning as I move forward. But I don't want to dedicate time into buying a new planner until I'm actually planning. You see what I'm saying? So once I know that I'm actually doing this regularly and that like I need to live by my planner, or off my planner for that matter, then I'll go ahead and get that done. So here you kind of see me just threading the needle through, and kind of looping it over, just making sure that I can pass my paper through and that everything is good there. And you want these to be a little bit taut, but you don't want them to be so taut that you can't, extend them or add more paper if you need to. Now, one thing about the way that I do mine is that I don't like to staple the books down and or glue the books down. I like to fold the papers over, but I like to leave them open so that you can reuse the covers instead of having to undo the whole thing. So I'll give you like the clear acetate and I'll give you, like your book covers, which you'll see me do here. It's just pretty much folding the acetate and that kind of protects your little book covers, if you will. That protects that. And it also serves as a dashboard so you can add your sticky notes, your stickers, things like that. You can add to that if you want to, you know, uh, add some washi tape strips or something like that to that, you can go right ahead and do it. Easy to put on, easy to remove. But overall, I don't staple them down because I feel like that's, to me, I mean, not that it's a waste, but it's almost like a waste. Because here, you'll use it and you'll throw it out and you'll throw the whole thing out, cover and all. Um, this way, you just have to remove the paper, shred it up if it has important information you don't want nobody to see, and then just continue to use your covers. And then little by little, you'll go altering your covers, and they'll go transforming over time, I'm sure. Um, so yes, I actually had to trim this down a little bit just because the acetate was a little bit larger, by like an eighth of an inch or so. It was a little bit larger than I needed it to be, and I just pretty much rounded off all the corners from the books as well as the acetate, and everything now matches perfectly. And what I use on this is very simple. It's just printer paper. Um, about 6 to 7 sheets folded over printer paper. That gives me about 13 to 14 sheets, or pages, I should say. Yeah, about 12 to 14 pages per book. So if you do this wisely, you can pretty much cover. You can do it 1 month, 2 months, and even more depending on how wide your spine is. This is a rather small spine, so this will be good maybe for 1 month to 2 months tops. Probably no more than that. And that's saying that you're going to be creating books of about 6 pages, and you're going to be creating roughly about 4 of them to cover 2 months spread. So this is pretty much done, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, you have any suggestions, or anything like that, then definitely feel free to give me a comment down below. I hope you like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. I would love to have you be a part of my journey. I'm live on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pretty much every single Saturday as long as I can control it. And yes, thank you all so much for watching. Have an awesome day, you guys. Goodbye. Alrighty, you guys. So for your chance to win this traveler's notebook, please let me know what did you enjoy about this video. Be it that you saw it on my live stream or you're watching this, speed through DIY version. Just let me know what you liked about the journal, what you would like to do with it if you want it. And yeah, thank you guys so much, and good luck. Bye.